Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to rank the XXL 2019 freshman Cypher performances. On this channel, I just put out a video this week ranking the freshman freestyle performances. We will link to that video at the end of this one so you can check that out. But in this video, again, we're going to be going over the Cypher performances. Now, I know that XXL, as they typically do, they batched the rappers up in the freshman cover this year in groups of 3 or 4. You had Rowdy Rich, Comethazine, and Teairra Whack. You had Blueface, YBN Corday, and Rico Nasty. And then you had DaBaby, Megan Thee Stallion, Osiris, and Lil Mozi. Now, even though they're all kind of like in different groups, I'm going to be ranking each performance individually. So I'm ranking these performances from worst to best. Without any further ado, let's get into it. First off, we have Lil Mozi. Lil Mozi, in my view, had the worst performance out of all of the Cypher performances. Lyrically, he brought nothing to the table. His flow was boring. His delivery was underwhelming. It was really just, I don't know, there was literally nothing of interest going on at all. The dude had nothing to say. Dude had no energy. Dude had no charisma. I mean, I personally, if that was my performance, I would have been ashamed. I would have been ashamed to be going just before Megan Thee Stallion, personally, because she came on immediately after and was just a complete 180. Now, I know I'm spoiling the list a little bit by saying that, but still, let's go on to the next one. Who was the next worst, I guess you could say, was Osiris. Now, even though I did put Osiris toward the bottom of this list, I will say his performance was not bad. I think generally the Cypher performances were better than the freestyles, even though I hated Osiris's freestyle, easily one of the worst in XXL freshman history. I thought that his singing was way more on point with a beat behind him than just going a cappella. The flow is okay. There were a few points where he wasn't really on the pitch that he was shooting for. The end of his performance really trailed off. It seemed like he reached a point where he just didn't really know what to do anymore and just kind of like prematurely ended what he was doing. So look, it's not amazing, you know, but it's certainly not as awful as the freestyle performance, and I think this one and every freestyle after it is at least decent, is at least passable, was listenable. So moving on from there, the next one. Shockingly, DaBaby came next for me. It really was DaBaby. Now, I will give it to him that he has, I'm pretty sure, the longest Cypher of the entire series of Cypher performances. Dude, like, really went crazy on the content end. Like, he just kept going and going and going and going. However, I thought the first leg of his performance was a little rough. He wasn't quite in the pocket, or as in the pocket as he should have been on the beat. I feel like for him to be going as long as he did in this Cypher, he could have switched his flow up just a bit more. I feel like his delivery was a little monotone, a little one-dimensional. It hit a point where it just felt very samey. And on top of all of that, and I do think this is important, out of everyone performing in the Cypher, I think he easily had the worst mic technique. Like, dude was cupping the mic at one point, could barely make out some of what he was saying. It really just was not all that good, in my opinion, despite the fact that I do think that DaBaby is one of the more capable rappers in this freshman cover, but it just didn't really sort of come through in this Cypher performance. So moving on from there, Roddy Rich, who surprised me a little bit. I didn't expect to enjoy what Rowdy Rich was doing as much as I did, but even though I don't think he came out here with the most personality or the most original style or delivery, I think that he consistently changed up his flow, subtly added in some bits of melody into what he was doing, had a few witty lines here and there, not a high level, but a decent level of energy. Even though he wasn't really in your face or really kind of popping out at you, I will say that his rapping his singing, everything that he was doing was very well executed, pretty precise. Can't really say that he made a big mistake or stumbled or, sort of swallowed a word in the way that some other rappers here did. So it was just kind of a clean, straightforward, nearly flawless performance that that he just pulled together in a way that just made it seem almost easy. So, kudos to Roddy Rich for pulling through so solidly. Moving on from there, we have Blueface. Blueface came up against YBN Corday and Rico Nasty in his Cypher, and I gotta say, it came out more underwhelming than I was hoping a Blueface Cypher performance would, even though he did have a few interesting one-liners here and there. I don't know if it was because of the fact that he was coming last and Cordae did so well and Rico Nasty did so well, and maybe it was also the tone of the beat, which switched after Rico Nasty too into more of an old school hip-hop beat, not so much a trap style or anything like that, which maybe Blueface would have been more comfortable over. I'm not entirely sure. This performance to me just felt really flat, even though he did sort of throw in some interesting ad-libs here and there. His flow did seem more consistent than I guess you expect a Blueface flow to be, since it is usually the stereotype that he's offbeat, he's rapping ahead of the beat, he's rapping behind the beat. That typical Blueface energy, what makes him unique, what makes him stand out, just wasn't really there. But I can say that I place his Cypher performance at least at the midpoint on this list, because I thought his mic etiquette was okay. I thought his writing his one-liners were fine. There wasn't really a point in his freestyle where I felt like, oh, he made a huge mistake or really raised an eyebrow. Really, at the end of the day, I just wanted more than I actually got from this one, and that's it. Moving on from there, the next one that we have is Comethazine, who is placing surprisingly high in this list, considering that he was not one of my favorites on the cover, and I didn't really get a whole lot out of his freestyle performance, but still, Comethazine to me came off very energetic, very animated, dynamic, and occasionally funny on this one. I actually thought he really pulled through very solidly and in a way where he really left an impression on me. Again, he just came off a lot less one-dimensional in this one, and I guess I'll just leave it there. Rico Nasty. So we're getting into the top tiers here. We're getting into the top tier performances right now, and Rico Nasty easily gave one of the best performances of the bunch. She was easily rapping the fastest of anybody here, consistently, and I would say, brutalized, absolutely brutalized most of the people coming in on the bottom of this list. I mean, she really kind of put a lot of the dudes in the cover on this one to shame. I will say that there were some lines and there were some words that she rapped so fast through, she missed pronunciations, she swallowed a few words here and there, and she was spitting a lot of lines and making a lot of lyrical observations that she has before in freestyles, that she has before in her own music. So substantively, she's not saying a whole lot that she hasn't said before, but still, as far as energy, as far as raw delivery, as far as flow and execution, this was easily one of the better performances of the entire bunch. So Rico Nasty came into this thing a monster and came out of this thing continuing to look like a monster. So Rico Nasty absolutely went in. There's no denying that, and that is why she is, in the top tiers of this Cypher performance list. Moving on from there, we have a YBN Corday, who did not come through with one of the fastest flows of the bunch. It was pretty mid-paced, just like his freestyle, but still, I did think he came through with some of the best one-liners of anybody in the group, and that's typically his vibe, that's typically his style. He's a lyricist, so that's where the bulk of the magic of what he does is coming from. He was incredibly witty, referencing Blueface, referencing Rico Nasty. A lot of what he was saying seemed almost a little off the cuff. I don't know how much he was kind of working off of what was in his head and how much he was working off of just kind of throwing stuff out there in the moment. But either way, it came out sounding great. It came out really entertaining, and really enjoyed it. One of the smarter, I'll say the smarter Cypher performances of the bunch. All right, moving on, we have Megan Thee Stallion, who came through much like she did in the freestyle performances. She came through with a solid, somewhat fast flow, funny lyrics, lots of personality, great energy. She basically grabbed the beat by the throat and was like, "Arr!" She didn't go overly long in the way that DaBaby did, just really kind of beating a dead horse. Megan Thee Stallion was... not to make a horse pun or a horse reference here. You know, Megan was on the horse. She was riding that beat, just going off into the sunset, and it was immaculate. You know, it was an immaculate start to the Cypher performances, given how awful Lil Mozi's was. And again, I'll sort of go back to that contrast. You know, you want to compare a rap monster to, I don't know, a rap possum. That's essentially the contrast there. You know, right after Mosey, Megan just came in and showed you how it should in fact be done. So the fact that she came in again with that incredibly aggressive delivery and flow, how consistent she was lyrically, substantively, I will say a lot of what she was saying was stuff she said before, even with that love letters and the DMs thing. Like we've heard that before from Megan, but still, she came through with a great energy. She had a solid performance and easily one of the better performances of the entire bunch. But still, we are not at number one, and my favorite one was easily Teairra Whack. Someone who I lamented in my previous video about the freestyles. Why wasn't she in the freestyles? Where was she? I really would have loved to have heard a Teairra Whack freestyle because I know she can, in fact, freestyle. But still, her performance in the Cyphers was incredible. And what's funny is that the way it was introduced was that the beat stopped, which... whenever that happens, it does kind of create a bit of an eye roll moment because why can't we all just be on the same beat, or at least each group be on the same beat? Why does it need to switch? Why does everybody need to be on a different wave or something? Like, can't we all just, in the spirit of competition, all be trying to outdo each other on the same instrumental and show that we can be versatile and just do whatever we do on top of whatever? But still, the beat stopped, total silence, just a freestyle, a cappella, which not only because of that change, but because of the silence, puts a lot of expectations on the rapper, because you are going to be listening to every single thing they say, because there's not a groove, there's not a beat, there's not anything for you to just nod your head to. So you are really going to be forced to pay attention to every single thing coming out of the rapper's mouth. And not that every line Teairra Whack said was absolute genius. The you know, the "I'm the shit," what was it? "Don't be surprised if I stink" or something line I thought was a little rough. But still, she had numerous lines and double entendres that were fantastic. The "dollar changed the game" line, the "man WO at the beginning" line, the "Mayweather on you April Fools" line. A lot of what she was saying sounded really in the moment, stream of conscious. Like she was just throwing words out there and she's like, okay, I need to connect this word to another word in order for it to make sense, and in order to kind of make another point or shoot another line out there. And it was pretty incredible. It was incredible to hear somebody that in the moment rapping that well, have a flow that impressive, and also just be consistently saying things that are funny, entertaining, witty. That's what lyrical competition, that's what rapping to prove that you're better than your contemporaries is all about. And Teairra Whack, I think, just kind of passed with flying colors. In a sense, it would have been more interesting to see her body the beat in much the same way Megan did, but totally backing off the instrumental, turning it down and going a cappella, I think, kind of created an entirely different experience that was, I think, even more exciting than every other Cypher performance here. I guess I also have to mention that obviously there was no Gunna. I don't think I'm all that sad about that. A Gunna freestyle as well as a Gunna Cypher performance undoubtedly would have been bad. Maybe even worse than the Lil Mozi performance. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't think there's anything else really to say. So really happy with these Cyphers generally. Nothing in terms of like the weird surprise energy that you got like on the Uzi Denzel 21 Savage performance from long ago, but still like there were a lot of like standout verses and standout flows on this one. Tierra, Rico, Megan, you know,
Corday
was great, but generally, like, the women are killing the guys this year. They are murdering the men, and that's pretty impressive. And it's pretty impressive. So yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. Over here next to my head is the freestyle performances video I talked about earlier. Hit that up, and also hit up the link to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel as well. Anthony Fantano, XXL, Freshman Cypher Performances 2019, forever.